My boyfriend cheated, so I let his mom handle it. I 26 female had been with my boyfriend 28 male for 3 years. We lived together, had a dog, and were even talking about getting engaged. I thought he was my forever, until I found out he was sleeping with his coworker. The first sign. He started acting distant, keeping his phone face down, working late even though his job had set hours. One day, he left his laptop open, and a notification popped up. Last night was amazing. Can't wait to see you again. Red heart. My heart pounded. I clicked the message thread and saw weeks worth of texts, full of late-night meetups and inside jokes. He even sent her the same flirty texts he used on me. But instead of confronting him, I had a better idea. Calling in reinforcements. His mom and I had always been close. She treated me like a daughter, and I knew she would be livid if she found out what her perfect son had done. So, I sent her screenshots of everything. Her response? I'll take care of this. The sweetest karma. A few days later, he came home looking terrified. Turns out, his mom had called his entire family and told them what he did. Sent the screenshots to his boss, who happened to be her coworker. Kicked him out of her will. Then, she personally helped me move out, taking my side completely. Now, he's single, jobless, and living in his mom's basement. Am I the asshole for letting his own mother destroy his life?
My wife's cheating backfired in the worst way possible. I 34 male have been married to my wife 32 female for 7 years. We had what seemed like a perfect life, great jobs, a nice house, and we were even talking about starting a family. But 3 months ago, everything changed. It started with small things. She became distant, constantly on her phone, laughing at messages she wouldn't let me see. She suddenly had girls' night almost every weekend, which she never used to do. Then, one night, she came home late, smelling like man's cologne. I had a gut feeling something was wrong, but I didn't want to jump to conclusions. So, I decided to test her. I told her I had to go out of town for a work trip. In reality, I booked a hotel 20 minutes away and left my car in long-term parking. Before I left, I installed a small camera in our living room, hidden in a bookshelf. It was motion-activated and sent notifications to my phone. The first night, nothing happened. But on the second night my phone went off. I opened the camera app, and my heart sank. There she was, on our couch, laughing with another man. Then, she kissed him. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. But instead of rushing home and losing my mind, I took a deep breath and started recording the footage I needed proof. I stayed at the hotel for one more night, letting her dig her own grave. The next morning, I called a locksmith and changed the locks on our house. Then, I sent her a simple text. I know. Don't bother coming home. Panicking, she called me 17 times. Left voicemails crying, begging to explain. I didn't respond. Then, the real kicker, her affair partner was her boss. So, I did what any scorned husband would do. I sent the footage to HR at her company. Turns out, their company had a strict no fraternization policy. Within a week, they were both fired. Now, she's jobless, homeless, and single. And me? I'm moving on. AITA for ruining her life after she ruined mine.
My husband cheated, so I made him watch his life fall apart. I 31 female have been married to my husband 34 male for 6 years. We had what seemed like a perfect marriage, good jobs, a beautiful home, and even talks of starting a family soon. But everything changed when I discovered his secret double life. The first red flag. It started small. He was always on his phone, smiling at messages but quickly locking the screen if I got too close. Suddenly, he had late meetings and business trips when his job never required travel before. One night, he came home late, and when I hugged him, I smelled a floral perfume I don't wear. My gut told me something was wrong, but instead of confronting him right away, I decided to gather proof. Catching him in the act. A week later, he told me he had a company retreat out of town. Instead of arguing, I kissed him goodbye and pretended to believe him. But while he thought I was at home, I was following him in an Uber. His business trip led him to a hotel 30 minutes away. I parked outside and waited. An hour later, a woman arrived, young, dressed up, and carrying an overnight bag. They checked in together. I snapped photos and videos as they walked inside, laughing and holding hands. My stomach twisted, but I wasn't about to let my emotions ruin my plan. The revenge begins. Instead of confronting him, I let him dig his own grave. I hired a lawyer and gathered every piece of evidence I could. I froze our joint bank account so he couldn't access any shared funds. I contacted a real estate agent to put our house on the market, without telling him. And the best part? I planned a party at our house for his birthday, inviting all his closest friends and family. The birthday surprise. On the night of his party, I had a slideshow prepared. Guests arrived, drinks were poured, and when everyone was seated, I stood up and said, "I want to show you all a special video of my husband's recent business trip. I played the footage, him and his mistress entering the hotel together. Gasps filled the room. His mother burst into tears, and his best friend muttered, "Dude, what the hell?" He turned pale, stammering, "It's not what it looks like." I smiled and dropped the final bombshell. "By the way, I've already filed for divorce. The house? It's being sold. The joint account? Frozen. Good luck with your new life, because you're not in mine anymore." Then, I walked out, while he stood there, humiliated in front of everyone who once respected him. The fallout. His mistress dumped him once she found out he was married. He tried to fight for the house, but I had proof of infidelity, so the divorce settlement was in my favor. His own family disowned him, siding with me instead. And me? I took my share of the money and went on a vacation alone, enjoying my freedom while he dealt with the mess he created. Am I the asshole for ruining his life after he betrayed me?
My husband cheated, so I let him expose himself. I 30 female have been married to my husband 33 male for 5 years. We had what I thought was a solid marriage, until a few months ago when he started acting strange. He became glued to his phone, texting at all hours, smiling at his screen but snapping at me if I got too close. He suddenly had late meetings and weekend work trips even though his job never required travel before. I had a gut feeling something was off, but instead of confronting him outright, I decided to let him expose himself. One night he was in the shower, and his phone lit up with a text. "I can't wait for tomorrow night. Love you." My heart stopped. I took a screenshot, sent it to myself, and started planning. The next day, I told him I was going to visit my sister for the weekend. He acted completely normal, even kissed me goodbye like nothing was wrong. But instead of leaving, I parked down the street and waited. A few hours later, a car pulled into our driveway. A woman got out. She had a suitcase. I let them settle in, then texted him, "Miss you already, hope you have a relaxing night." He replied, "Miss you too, babe." While another woman was in our house, the sweetest revenge. Instead of barging in, I let them get comfortable. I ordered a romantic dinner for two complete with champagne and a note that read, "Hope you and your girlfriend enjoy this meal. You'll need your strength for what's coming next." When the food arrived, I watched from my car as he opened the door, saw the note, and turned pale. He looked around in panic, knowing he was caught. Then I forwarded the text messages and footage from our Ring camera, which caught her arriving to his family, our friends, and just for fun his boss. The fallout? He was humiliated, dumped by his mistress, and kicked out of his own house. And me? I'm enjoying my new single life with a glass of wine and zero regrets. Am I the asshole for letting him expose himself instead of just confronting him? I caught my fiancé cheating. So I let him pay for his own humiliation. I-28 female was engaged to my fiancé 30 male for almost 2 years. We were planning our dream wedding venue booked, dress picked out, and thousands of dollars already spent. I was beyond excited to marry him, until I discovered a secret that changed everything. One night, he fell asleep with his phone unlocked. I wasn't the type to snoop, but something about the way he had been guarding it lately made me curious. What I found made my stomach drop. There were hundreds of messages between him and another woman. Not just flirty texts, explicit messages, plans to meet up, even I love you texts. I felt like my whole world was crashing down. But instead of confronting him right away, I decided to hit him where it hurt the most, his wallet and his pride. I kept quiet. I continued planning the wedding, smiling through the pain, knowing exactly how this would end. Over the next few weeks, I made sure he paid for everything: the venue, catering, and our non-refundable honeymoon. Waited until the last minute to drop the bomb. The night before the wedding, I texted screenshots of his messages to everyone in the bridal party and his entire family. I then left him a simple note in our apartment. I know everything. Enjoy explaining this to everyone tomorrow. Then, I blocked his number and went on our honeymoon solo, using the trip he paid for as my personal post-breakup vacation. He was left to deal with the guests, the embarrassment, and the $30,000 wedding bill, alone. Am I the asshole for letting him destroy his own life instead of confronting him earlier?